Tell us a little bit more about what you found about the business model, because this goes, I think, also to the, the question of ideological resistance to your findings. We're talking about for-profit schools for the poor. So this raises the suspicion of exploitation. The parents are being gulled into spending their tiny incomes on schools that are not working well. Take one of the schools in Hyderabad. Just give us a sense of what these schools are charging parents and how they survive. These are profit-making enterprises, aren't they?
And you don't have to overdo that side of it, because so in India, for-profit education is illegal, so you have to have a sort of a charitable setup. So ostensibly, de jure, if you like, they are charitable enterprises.
And the profit is the proprietor's income.
But de facto they're for-profit. But in Ghana and Nigeria and wherever, they can be for-profit. But it's, but you asked about the margin. So when I did the main study of the book, the schools in India might be charging 50 to 100 rupees a month. That's $1 to $2 US per month. They might now be charging about $4 US per month. In Ghana, about the same, $4 to $5 US equivalent per month. And, the profit could be anything between, well, a very successful large school might make, charging $4 per month per child, maybe 50 cents to $1 could be profit per month. But, it's a funny old thing, isn't it? The profit motive is an evil motive when it's applied to the poor, but, that's the way they get their food, that's the way they get most things in life, the newspapers that they read, the drinks they have, and yet somehow about education, it's not seen as desirable. I would say it's absolutely the opposite to that. The profit motive. If you're a poor person, from one of these poor communities, you can't do philanthropy in a big way, can you? And if there was just philanthropic schools, there would be a few.
Right.
But the profit motive means that I can see, this guy's got a school there. He's got a couple of hundred children. I can see he's living quite well. I might try and get a school. Let's see how he does it. Let's learn the model. And so you get this replication of good ideas spreading through the community. And I think the profit motive is what keeps these schools, is one of the things that keeps these schools good.
But just to press you on that, if you could, thinking about the way the incentives work through the system, teachers in these schools are paid less than teachers in state schools. The schools, I imagine, have less to spend on materials, on textbooks and so forth. Raises the question, how much, first of all, is that true? And if it is true, and the schools are getting good results nonetheless, what does that tell you about where the money is going in the state sector?
Yeah. Actually, the first thing you say is true. The second thing is probably not true. So in the low-cost private schools, teachers are definitely paid considerably less than the government teachers. And they're less well-trained. They're younger, typically. They've been in the profession, teaching much less time than the teachers in the government schools. So that's certainly true. But as a proportion of the money spent in the school, the teachers' salaries, it could only be 50% of the money that's spent in the school. So then there is material on books and teaching aids, learning materials that's spent there both by the school and by the parents themselves. Whereas in a government school, the teachers' salaries might take up 90% of what's spent in the school. So actually the other part of what you said is not true. There might be more materials in the low-cost private schools than the government schools. So that was,
and that again is a pattern you found in more than one country.
Yeah, it was quite remarkable, the similarities between the slums of Lagos and the slums of Delhi or Hyderabad. Quite remarkable, yes, yeah, very similar.
Yeah. How important is putting money into the system in terms of getting results? I think we're conditioned to think, or certainly used to thinking, that one of the big problems in state education in developing countries, and not just in developing countries, is that we aren't devoting adequate resources. The problem is constantly framed as one of, if we can only get more money into education, then we can get better results. Some of these findings of yours at least raise questions about that view of the world, don't they?
Yes, I think it's complete and utter nonsense, you know, actually, that there's in most of these countries, there's plenty of money for education, and particularly as you see the low-cost model works, so, you know, you don't even need very much money necessarily. There are two aspects of this answer. One is that, and then the second part is that so much gets wasted either through corruption, you know, straightforward corruption, or just inefficiencies in several of these countries. I was just reading in the paper recently from Kenya. You know, Kenya had this, you know, wonderful new scheme that everyone from President Clinton to Bono was praising: free primary education in the public schools. It's been seen as the you know, good development education model that everyone can look at. In the Kenyan papers recently, it doesn't make the international news, but recently was, you know, of all the billions of Kenyan shillings and millions of dollars that have been spent on textbooks, I think some like 93% has just gone missing. You know,
right?
There's money there. There's money there. But that's not to say that, you know, we might come on to, you know, I'm now involved in running a few schools and whatever. If I had more money, I could do a better job. You know,
you've gone over to the other side.
But no, what I'm saying is you can do more with money.
Course,
if you've got the structures right, you can do more, but you know, you don't need that money in order to make that progress. And you know, a lot of things that you spend money on in the state system, the public system, are maybe not crucial to the education experience. You know, you don't need large playing fields, you don't necessarily need beautiful buildings. You might need buildings that are just better, that are just safe, you know, and comfortable enough.
Government